Alright, so we're back to RAP again, and today's RAP lesson is going to look at solving equations. And we've been working on solving equations throughout the entire year, so there really shouldn't be anything new here. Hopefully it's just a real good refresher for you. Let's see, looks like mine might have gotten off in the numbering, but we're going to start with the first one, obviously. And that would be, yes, because mine didn't take the columns right. So the 85 equals 4d plus 5. The goal, remember the goal is always to get that variable by itself. So I'm going to get rid of the piece without the variable first by adding negative 5 to each side. So 80 equals 4d, divide by 4 on each side. And that's going to give you 20 equaling d. I would like you to check each of these equations. I'm not necessarily going to go through each check, but I will show you a check for this first problem just so you remember how to do it. 85 equals 4 times 20 plus 5. Everywhere I see the variable in the original problem, I'm going to stick in my answer of 20. Now I'm going to follow order of operations. So 4 plus 20 is 80 plus 5. So 85 equals 85. You want the two numbers at the very end to match. If they don't, then that means you did something wrong somewhere along the way. So I'm going to have your teacher pause the video now, and I'm actually going to ask you to go through just problem 2 right now on your own, and then we'll start the video back up and go from there. In problem 2, if you remember, the first thing you always want to do is change your subtraction to plus the opposite. So I'm going to make that plus negative 37. That's a very critical step that you don't want to forget. Anytime you see subtraction, you want to change to plus the opposite. I'm going to move the piece without the variable first. So to get rid of a negative 37, I'm actually going to add positive 37 to each side. I know my writing on this thing isn't always the best. So negative 2f equals positive 26. Divide by negative 2. Do not change the signs when you're multiplying or dividing. So f equals negative 13. And again, to check it, negative 2 times negative 13 plus negative 37 needs to give me negative 11. Two negatives gives me positive 26 plus negative 37 equaling negative 11. And negative 11 does equal negative 11, and my answer checks. As you go through the following problems, you're going to have to increase in your steps. We're going to introduce some parentheses where you distribute, some where you have variables on each side, okay? Those sort of things. Do remember that a fraction bar means division. And to undo division, we're going to multiply. Okay? So that's how we're going to get rid of the fraction bars. We're going to use the division. So now go ahead, try some of these on your own. And when it looks like most of you have finished, the teacher will turn back on the video and I'll go over the answers with you. So looking at your problem 3, my problem 4, because my numbering is off, I have 8 plus negative 1h over negative 3, oh, that's an equal sign, plus 19. Can't even read my own problem. So that's an equal sign in there. So the first thing I'm going to do is move the piece without the variable. So I'm going to add negative 19 to each side. Negative 19. And by doing that, I get negative 11 equaling negative 1h over negative 3. The negative 3 leaves next, and to get rid of it, I multiply each side by negative 3. That gets me positive 33 because two negatives go positive, equaling negative 1h. divide by negative 1, and h is negative 33. Same sort of idea for the last problem on this page of mine, number 4. So I have negative 4 plus negative 1q over 8. Oh, I think that's my equal sign again. Negative 4 equals 1q over 8 plus negative 19. Add 19 to each side first. By doing that, I get 15 equaling 1q over 8. Multiply each side by 8. And I get 120 equaling 1q. Divide by 1. Dividing by 1 isn't really going to change anything, but it is going to make sure that we do have that variable by itself. So 120 equals q. So here in problem 6, we're going to distribute through the parentheses, obviously making sure to change 2 plus the opposite first. So 21 plus negative 6y, so plus negative 6y equals 9. I'm going to add negative 21 to each side. So negative 6y equals negative 12. Divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6, we get y equaling positive 2. In 7 and 8, we're going to be working with like terms. Like terms must be on the same side of the equation, but you can just go ahead and add them together. So 3m plus 1 equals 7. I'm going to add negative 1 to each side. 3m equals 6. Divide by 3, divide by 3, I get m equaling 2. Number 8, change to plus the opposite. Add together my like terms. I have 2 pairs this time. That gets me negative 5x plus 13 equaling 12. Add negative 13 to each side. Negative 5x equals negative 1. Divide by negative 5. Remember that 2 negatives go positive, so your final answer is positive 1/5. 9, we have like terms and parentheses in this problem. 42 equals 18f plus 4f plus 20. 42 equals 22f plus 20. I'm going to add negative 20 to each side. 22 equals 22f. Divide by 22 on each side. And I get f equaling 1. 10, a lot that we need to change to plus the opposite. Make it a plus negative 1 outside the parenthesis and a plus negative 1g inside the parenthesis. So the negative 5g is going to stay where it is. Not going to do anything with the negative 5g. The negative 1 outside the parentheses has to be distributed to each piece inside. So negative 1 times 8 is negative 8. And negative 1 times negative 1g is positive g, or positive 1g. I do have like terms, my g's. That gets me negative 4g plus 8 equaling 12. Add negative 8 to each side. Negative 4g equals 4. Divide by negative 4 on each side. And I get g equaling negative 1. 11, don't have a lot of room to work, so I'm probably going to end up over here on this side. Plus the opposite. Move the variable, if you have one on the right side, move it from the right to the left first by adding the opposite. So I'm going to add negative 7n. That's going to give me negative 4n plus 7 equaling negative 13. From here it should solve like normal. add negative 7 to each side. So negative 4n equals negative 20, divide by negative 4, and n equals positive 5. So now we're going to look at problem 14. I'm going to change my subtraction to plus the opposite. So I'm going to add 14x to each side, move the variable from the right to the left first. So that gives me 26x plus negative 24 equaling 28. I'm going to add 24 to each side. 26x equaling, that's going to be 52. Divide by 26. X is 2. 15, change subtraction to plus the opposite, so it's a negative 6. Distribute through the parentheses, so w plus 6 equals 2w plus negative 12. Watch your negative signs. I'm going to add negative 2w to each side. So negative 1w plus 6 equals negative 12. Add negative 6. So negative 1w equals negative 18. Divide by negative 1. So w is 18 for number 15. Yep, and that's the bottom of that one. So here it's a little bit fuzzy, but we're going to take our time here. I'm going to rewrite the problem. 8x plus negative 6 equals 2 over 3 times 6x plus 15. What you want to do here is you actually want to distribute the 2/3 through the parentheses. So 8x plus negative 6 equals 2/3 times 6x over 1 plus 15 over 1. Remember that you can cross cancel. So when I cross cancel, change colors here. The 3 will turn a 1, the 6 will become a 2. 2 times 2 gives me 4x. Now I'm going to use the same 2/3. I'm going to pretend that that red line isn't there right now. 3 divided by 3 gives me 1 again. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So now I have 8x plus negative 6 equaling 4x plus 10. Move the variable from the right to the left by adding the opposite. So 4x plus negative 6 equals 10. Add 6. 4x equals 16. Divide by 4. And I get x equaling 4. If you have questions on any of these equations, please make sure you stop by and see me and get those questions cleared up.